Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I went through my collection and I have pulled products that I haven't reached for in the longest time. I cannot wait for you all to see how I created this look and see which products that I've chosen. I hope you all enjoy this style video. It's kind of like a shop my stash, but instead of me showing you all my collection, I'm just kind of picking out what I haven't used in the longest amount of time. Some of these products are things that I used to use all the time and just have found new products that I've been kind of stuck on. You know how that happens where you find something new that you love and then you forget that you also loved these other products and they just kind of start collecting dust for no reason. It's not their fault. When I was filming the video, I remember kind of rating some of the products, but I think about halfway through, I forgot that I was doing that, so maybe I'll just throw it up on screen for you guys. Quickly, before I get into today's video, I wanted to kind of speak about a couple of things that I noticed on a previous video in the comment section. So first of all, let me just clear it up. I am 38 years old. In one of my most recent videos, I was talking about how I'm over 50 at this point, talking about how many foundations that I own. One of the things that I'm doing on my channel, if you're a new subscriber, I've been posting day 1 through 10 videos of foundation. The next video I film will be day 11 foundation. So I just decided a while back that I would do a different video dedicated to each foundation in my collection. Well, when I started this, I was like, I think I had 40 some foundations, but because of new launches and everything coming out, I'm up to 57 foundations in my collection. So that was what I was speaking about in that video. I think there was a little bit of confusion in the comment section about that, but my age is 38. Another thing, I wanted to just thank you all because the video I'm talking about was the Tear foundation. I knew when I posted that it was going to get a lot more views because Tati had just did a video about it. And anytime a big creator like that starts talking about a product, that's something people are going to start searching and looking up. So I knew I might get some more subscribers and more views with that video. So I do want to say thank you to the people that are commenting on that video, and just the fact that I had that many views and some new subscribers, that means a lot to me, and that was very special. So I just wanted to like kind of introduce myself and say hello, and I appreciate you all just commenting because that alone really helps my channel. With that said, if for whatever reason you have an issue with how much I talk in these videos, I just want to let you know this is something I do for fun, and I don't like conflict. I run from it. I'm like anti-drama, do not want any of that ever. So I want to keep this fun. This is something I do that really I enjoy. It is a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to film this video, but not only filming, but editing the video. But as of right now, I can say with my whole heart, this is something that I enjoy. I'm having fun doing it, but just as soon as it's not, I won't do it anymore. So I want to be very careful that, you know, it's a fine line. I don't want to let negative comments get to me, but I also am a human being. So just be mindful of that. Be respectful. That's all I ask. If you're going to be in my comment section, just be nice. That's all I ask. And if you don't like how much I talk, just fast forward or don't watch. That's really all there is to it. So I just wanted to address those few things. I really appreciate you all. I love products that make me feel beautiful, and I'm passionate about finding really good ones. And I love sharing that with you all. I've tried a lot of products, so I know what works for me. If you're similar to my skin type or my age or skin tone, any of that, I can help you out. So that's what I'm here for. I know a lot of people do enjoy Shop My Stash videos, so this is my take on that. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. So everything I've grabbed out to use is a full face. So we're going to start fresh. We're going to start from the very beginning. The only thing that I have done so far is my skincare, and I curled my eyelashes. The first thing I want to talk about is before I invested in this, which is reusable silicone eye patches, I wore these all the time. These you can purchase from Amazon, or sometimes Shop Miss A will have them. Are the Beauty Topic Under Eye Gel Pads with collagen and peptide complex. Helps to reduce fine lines, puffiness, and the appearance of dark circles. One pair of gel pads. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these on my under eyes. I use them to hydrate my under eyes and also as like a little fallout catcher. So that way I'm not, you know, harshly rubbing away fallout from my under eyes. It's just something I've always enjoyed doing while I'm getting ready. Before my Tatcha lip mask, before Laneige, this is something that I used to always grab out of my collection. It is the MAC Prep and Prime. You just use this to prime your lips. You know, it just popped in my head while I was putting this on. This feels just like putting the Aquaphor on your lips. I wonder if you could use this on your under eyes like the hack video of the Aquaphor. Decisions. That might be something we try later on in the video. The next step in my routine is always brows. And when I was going through my collection trying to figure out what I wanted to use, I was trying to figure out things I hadn't grabbed in a long time. And that would be my Benefit products. Now, you might be thinking, no, you use Benefit all the time. What I'm talking about are these guys. The Benefit, the 24-Hour Brow Setter, Fluff Up Brow Wax, and the Gimme Brow. Those used to be my go-to products before the Rare Beauty, the ABH Brow Freeze Gel. Before these came out, Benefit had a chokehold on me for these products as well. So I'm going to use the 24-Hour Brow Setter today just to kind of use as I would the Rare Beauty. I just like to use this to lay my brow hairs down and kind of freeze them in place so that way when I go to fill them in, they're laying down flat and they don't cause as many issues with filling when you just kind of brush them into place. So I just lay them like that. It worked just fine. I'm going to try, because I haven't in a long time, the Gimme Brow in the shade 3. And now I remember why. Because it is messy. Yeah. I thought maybe using a little bit of this would make the fill-in process easier for me. Pairing this with the 24-Hour Brow Setter isn't the best, in my opinion. It's kind of hard to brush it through because that brow setter is already getting sticky and like making it hard to comb through the brows. So I would say use one or the other. Don't use both. Now for the actual brow pencil, I couldn't make up my mind because both of these have just been sitting in my collection. And I don't know which one. I don't know if you caught that or not, but I'm just using the spoolie to try to brush through a little bit of that messy Gimme Brow that I just put in. And there was already a little bit of that sticky tacky stuff I was talking about. I have the Too Faced Super Fine Brow Detailer Ultra Slim Brow Pencil in soft brown. And then the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in medium brown. I feel like the last time I used this, I thought the color was a little off. So what I'll do is I'll start with this in the front of my brows and we'll get an idea if I need to switch to the medium brown, which I know works well for me, for my hair color. The other thing is this is not a very fine tip. I'm used to the Precisely My Brow or the Brow Detailer from Benefit. Those have a very, very small, precise tip. So I'm just going to use this, like I said, mainly in the front of my brow. But it does pull a little warm. But if you saw my last video, I talked about how the shade 3 in Benefit has been working better for my hair color right now, where it's almost time for me to get my hair done. It kind of matches better. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this, and then I'm going to switch to the ABH. There's nothing wrong with this per se. It's just all about preference. And I just prefer the smaller tip. Like that. See how messy that gets? Now I have to go and clean it up. This does have a spoolie as well. And I'm just kind of cleaning up where I went down a little too far. All right. Now I'm going to switch to the Brow Wiz. I'm just going to do like a rough outline and then I'll show you my next product. That's basically it. I'll just kind of brush through it and then I'll finish off at the end of my routine because you know I always finish my brows at the very end. All right, I've got my brows filled in good enough. I'm going to use the Glossier Brow Flick at the very end of my routine just to do some like hair-like strokes, but they're good enough for now. We're going to move on, and I'll just say this, not my favorite brows. Sometimes when you grab old products, they work just as well as you remembered, and sometimes it's just like you remember why you switched. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of having that realization with those brow products. The only thing I didn't use was the Fluff Up Brow Wax because I just felt like I was already using enough products. My next step is always eye primer, and this is one I haven't used in a long time. It's the Milani eyeshadow primer. I will be honest, I've never really enjoyed this one. Like, it's never been one that I've reached for consistently. So when I put on an eye primer, I like it to cover up all of my veins. I'm just going to use the Sephora 71 brush to blend this out. But this is more of a translucent, just a very small hint of color. Very small. Like, I don't know if you'll really be able to tell much of a difference. I'll use the Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder to set that eye primer down. Maybe because this is a yellow powder, it'll help camouflage those veins a little bit. Not really, but we tried. And something I always do is I take a little bit of the powder up into my brows. And that way, whenever I go to do the brow flick pen at the end, there's no like skincare or oil trying to come through. It really helps settle all that down. That is the Milani eyeshadow primer. All right, so when it came to eyeshadows, it was pretty easy. I had instantly thought of this because I don't know if I've ever used this to film with. I have played around with it, but it is the Ofra Good To Go Mini Mix Palette. Another reason that I wanted to feature it is because it also has a bronzer and a blush, and of course highlight, but it also has 3 like shimmer metallics and then 3 mattes that have a little bit of sparkle to them as well. I think the bronzer and the blush also have just a little bit of sparkle to them, or it could just be fallout from swatching, but we will see. I'm going to definitely use this to create an eye look, but also I will use the bronzer and blush as well. I'll try. Let's just say we might use that bronzer and blush. We have other things that I've pulled. When I'm trying to create these videos or when I'm going through my collection and doing like a shop my stash, I always like to pull options because you never know. You might pull something that doesn't work out, so you always have to have backup. And that was my thought process with pulling this palette. But the next one that I pulled to go with it is the ColourPop Wild Nothing. I used to be obsessed with this palette, and I thought these two would go really good together. Like, I can create a really cohesive look with these. See how similar they are? Like, when you look at them, they're very, very similar. So, you know, when I'm creating an eye look, I always like to have a really light matte shade. This does have a little bit of a sparkle to it. It's a matte with sparkle, but we'll be able to create a pretty look with that. And it's also got some lighter transition shades. And it also has a deep brown, which you all know I like to use as eyeliner. What I'll do is I'll show you each color I'm using on screen. I'm going to start with the BK Beauty 212 brush. It's my favorite soft blending brush. And I'm going to go into the shade Vagabond in the ColourPop Wild Nothing palette. There is some kick up in the pan with these, but ColourPop formula is really good. But I want to start with this in my crease as a transition. Pick up a little bit more. It's always weird for me to create an eye look trying to cover up my veins because typically the eye primer that I use will already have that covered. So it is a little weird for me to get used to that, but we're just going to rock and roll. I'm going to go into the shade Top Down, which is a lighter, like a very light pink, with the same BK Beauty brush. And it's also from the Wild Nothing palette. I'm just using the lighter pink shade on the edges of Vagabond to just kind of diffuse the edge of that transition. Soften it a little bit. I'm going to grab the lightest shade from the Ofra palette. It's like a peachy orange shade. And I'm going to put that right on top of Vagabond just to see if that will give anything else to the look. Or, yeah, it definitely has sparkle in that shade. So the Ofra palette doesn't actually have true matte shadows. They're mattes with a little sparkle. But I will say I like what that did for my crease. I think it's very pretty. Like an orangey peach shade. On a Nikki LaRose BK Beauty brush N13. Pick up a little bit more Vagabond. And just focus it right out here in the crease. I don't want to go too dark with this. I want to keep it kind of light. I'm going to use the bronzer shade in the palette with the same Nikki LaRose N13 and see if that can be used out here to deepen up the outer V. And this will give us an idea of how deep the bronzer shade actually is. I feel like it's not very dark. Okay. So I'm going to go into Come Together on the N13 brush. It's like a mauvey color, a little bit deep in the Wild Nothing palette, and see if we can add some depth with that. I just don't want to jump right to the deepest shade because I want to use that to set my eyeliner. That's about as deep as I can get with these two palettes without jumping to the deepest shade. Let me switch brushes. How about that? I'm going to use the A504 from BK Beauty, which it's a little bit more dense and small. Let me see if I can pick up some more of that bronzer. And by using a little bit more of a precise, dense brush, build up some pigment. Not really. Okay, well, it just doesn't want to build up depth. But that's okay. I wanted a soft look anyway. So we'll just stick with that in the outer V. Alright, now for the shimmers, I'm going to go into this like metallic-y shade from Ofra. And we're going to put that right here. It's very pretty, like peachy pink metallic shade. I'm going to go into Alcove, which is a lighter pink shimmer. And we'll put it right beside of that one and kind of marry those two together on the lid. And then there's a shade called Spirited. That's really pretty. It's like a topper shade. Put that on top. All right, I'm going to go back into Alcove. Right here. And then the Ofra palette again. Just try to make it extra sparkly. Okay, that's very pretty. Now I'm going to go into the BK Beauty 202 brush, and I'm going to pick up the lightest shade in the palette, Crystal Cove. And I'm just going to use this to blend under my brow. And again, it does have a little bit of shimmer to it, which is not always the best for this purpose, but it works. Okay, not my favorite look, but we're going to create a wing out here and we'll bring it all together, I promise. So let me do the other eye and I'll come right back. I'm good with that for now. I'm going to move on to eyeliner, and for that I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes Long Wear Gel Eyeliner in True Brown. I haven't used this in a while because it's just honestly not a favorite of mine. And I also don't like that when you twist it up, you have to use what you twist up. It doesn't twist back down. I don't like that. promise you, like, I've tried everything. It will not go back down. Hourglass, I think, has one that's like that. I'm sure there's other brands that do that as well. I just don't like it. It's not my favorite. But anyway, I also don't know what I did with the sharpener that was in there. So that's a bummer, but I'm also really just using this to create a little bit of a line, and then I'll use eyeshadow on top. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just using this to smudge out a wing. So I'm just taking this and I'll smudge it out. It isn't the easiest to work with. It's not very smooth, so it doesn't apply as easy as some do, and it also transfers on me. So I have to be very careful with how much I put in my like inner corner. It's not a terrible product. It is just simply not a favorite. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the 208 brush from BK Beauty, which is the most precise little angled liner brush that I have. I'm just taking the shade No Bounds in the Wild Nothing palette and using that to kind of stamp along the eyeliner. And for me personally, this helps with minimizing the transfer. My next step, I always go into Prime. And I have not used this in such a long time. It's the NYX Angel Veil Skin Perfecting Primer. This used to be a favorite of mine. And from what I can remember of it, I think it's very similar to the Hourglass Vanish Primer. That's what it reminds me of. It's very smoothing. It feels moussey. And then once you blend it, it just starts to feel super smooth. But the way it performs reminds me a lot of the Hourglass Vanish Primer. There is an up-close shot of what my pores and texture look like, and then without. So you see all the shine, you see all the pores and texture. This should not be just sitting in my collection. It should get more use. There is nothing wrong with this. This is a 10 out of 10 primer. It is just one of those things where I have so many that I love that this one has just not gotten enough use. It is also very similar to my Cali Ray that I love. Just make sure you spread it out evenly and then press it into the skin and let it dry. And the reason I do it now is because I still have to finish my mascara, and that gives it plenty of time. All right, for mascara, I picked the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow. I haven't used this in a very long time. It is probably borderline expired, but here we are. Here is what the wand looks like. It still looks nice and fresh. It looks just like it did when I first opened it. This was never a favorite of mine. I felt like it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the claims. Like the hype around this, I was expecting more. Again, I curled my lashes before I started filming. But this does give good lift to the lashes. And it's not a bad formula. It's not. Like I said, it's just for me that it didn't wow me like the product claimed it would, you know? When this came out, they were saying it was like the ultimate mascara formula. There was just so much hype around it. And for me, it's not anything extraordinary. Get them nice and coated, and then I go back through and make sure the tips are coated. And then I will take my tweezers and kind of use my tweezers as a lash comb. I don't know, for me personally, I just feel like I have more control over mess when I use a pair of tweezers instead of a lash comb. Place my lashes where I want them to be. Let the mascara dry. And then we'll come back at the end of the routine and I'll recurl my lashes. And we'll see how it holds up. But like I said, you can see it's not bad. It's just not my favorite. But yeah, I would say it's like a 6. The eyeliner, like a 4 or 5. It's not a favorite. The brow products today, maybe a 6. Not bad, but just not favorites anymore. The Milani eye primer, it's not bad. It's just not my favorite type of eye primer, so I would rate it like a 7. And then the eyeshadows, ColourPop eyeshadows, are a 10 out of 10 in my book for price and performance. The Ofra, however, honestly, I would give it like a 5. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. So let this dry. We're going to move on to complexion. Now, this is where the fun starts for me. I'm going to introduce you to my newest brushes. This is from a brand called Delium Tools, and I've seen this all over TikTok. Jeffree Star's the one that got me onto this brush. It is the 972 Large Rounded Double Dome Blender. It says a uniquely designed double dome brush with 2 different types of bristles for flawless application and blending. Double dome achieves double coverage in less time. So we're going to see. It is a soft synthetic fiber brush, patent pending. I learned from the website that it is pronounced Delium. The B is silent. The double dome, it's very soft. And it's like a paintbrush. I cannot wait to use this. Now, I'll go ahead and show you the other brushes that I picked as well. This is the 988 BDHD Phase 1. The shape of this brush enables you to blend and apply foundation with one side and the other side to soften the look with loose or compact powders applied in a circular motion. Not 100% sure, but I think this is the brush that Jeffree Star was using to apply like cream products, like cream bronzer, blush. And it's like a bigger version of the BK Beauty 109 or the 101, kind of. See how that's like that? But this is very soft, and it could be used for foundation, but we're going to use the other one for foundation. And then lastly, this one is the BDHD Phase 3 788. The shape of this brush enables you to blend and apply concealer or eyeshadow with one side and the other side to soften the look with powder. Like they've designed their brushes to use for concealer, powder, and all the above, I guess. But this is the Golden Triangle version, so it's more of that blue handle with the rose gold, and it is very similar to the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brush that I love. So we have these to use to apply complexion today, and the reason that I wanted to put these in this video instead of like a new product video is because I don't have a lot of new products, first of all, and second of all, when I was trying to pick a foundation for this video, I was having a hard time choosing because I love foundations. I have freaking 57 to choose from. Roll that beautiful footage here. Just couldn't pick one. So I picked a couple to mix, and I thought, you know, painters mix their paint to make the perfect shade or whatever, and that's what I'm doing. So we're going to use my little paintbrush to apply multiple foundations. First is the Oma Beauty Say What Weightless Soft Matte Hydrating Foundation in the shade Honey Honey T1N. I could not tell you the last time I used this foundation, mainly because of the shade. The shade is just a little too warm for me. So what I'd want to do, I'm going to give it a good shake because it's been sitting for a while. I'm going to do a pump. Let's see what a pump is on my little mixing plate here. There is a pump of the Oma Beauty. And then I also picked the Tarte Face Tape Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 29N Light Medium Neutral. And this one is just a little bit too light for me on its own, so I figured mixing the two would be perfect. So we're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio. If this shade doesn't seem to work, I was also going to mix in a little bit of the AOA Studios Luminous Veil BB Cream in the shade M1. This is what I was talking about in my last video. I guess I just didn't realize what I purchased. I thought this was going to be kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury dupe or the e.l.f. dupe, kind of like a mixing medium to where you would mix in a little bit of luminosity to your foundation because it says Luminous Skin Veil, but it is more of a BB cream that has a little hint of luminosity to it, just a hint. So I think this will match my body well, but I want to try this. I'm going to put a pump of this in this as well, just a little, because I feel like mixing and using all of these things together for this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's on here. We're going to shade match. See how it matches my neck? I'm just using whatever's on here. Now we will blend with my little painter brush. I am so excited. So far, did you see those streaks it was leaving? I feel like it's blending out okay. Gonna put a little bit up on my ear to match my neck. But that was just a couple little swipes of the foundation. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the brush and dunk it in the foundation. And this should give us like the ultimate coverage, like a paintbrush. And see how I feel like the color is already oxidizing, but that's okay. It will match my body, so don't worry. I feel like this brush is very nice. I like it. It's nice and soft. I feel like it's easy to kind of get in the groove here with your face. I like it. What do we think? But I will say it is pretty gross. Oh well. Put some on my nose. The nose might not be the easiest to blend out with this brush, but it's not terrible. I like it. I know there was mixed reviews. Some people were like, this is ridiculous, but I like it. I'm going to grab my Stands Out sponge. I don't know how all the dog hair gets on the sponge when my sponge is over here minding its own business away from the dog. I don't understand. Can somebody explain to me how that happens? Anyway, I'm not going to take any extra product. I'm just going to use this to press what's already on my face into my skin. Okay. And as you can see, it's matching. For cream bronzer or contour, I picked the Tarte Breezy Cream Bronzer in the shade Seychelles. This is kind of a lighter shade for me, and I'm going to just take it on this brush, the 988 BDHD Phase 1. I'm just going to pick up some of the product on this brush and see if we can apply some and how that feels. It feels really nice, and it's given me some nice warmth to my complexion. And it's not going to give much of a contour, this shade, but this product has always been a favorite of mine. I've loved it for years. I actually have it in this compact, which is the full size. I have it in like a little palette with some blushes. There was a time that it was on sale on Sephora's website, on their sale page. It was on there for a long time, and it was very cheap. So I went ahead and got me this backup because I knew it's something that I always wanted to have in my collection. And I love that it's buildable. With one light layer, I could use this on a fair to light skin tone as bronzer, and then built up, I can use it on light medium to medium skin tones. So I love having something versatile like that in my collection. This formula is just phenomenal. And let's talk about how this brush is blending beautifully. So soft, and it's so nice. But yes, they do get dirty quick. For blush, I chose the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Dusty Rose, because honestly, I don't know if I've even used this very similar to the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. This is the shade Dusty Rose. It's like a peachy pink shade. And I'm going to work it into the tip of this brush and then apply it. Woo. It's a really pretty peachy pink color. See how it's like on the tip of that brush? I need to work it in more. I'm going to work it into the brush a little bit more. It's a pretty shade. It's a pretty formula. It's a little bit dewy. You can see the radiance, but that's all right. We can use powder and fix that, no problem. I like how it's just like a nice flush to the cheeks. I really like that. This was another one that was hard for me to choose, okay? I have tons of concealers, and a lot of them I haven't used in a while. I would say this is the one that I used to use all the time, the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. And then once I found the Tarte Shape Tape Radiant, I fell in love with it, but I haven't used it in a long time. And then the Urban Decay Stay Naked Quickie Concealer in the shade 40NN. Now, the reason I haven't reached for this one is because of the shade. It's a little too light on its own. So there is a reason I don't reach for that. The Tarte Shape Tape Radiant Concealer, I have it in the shade 22N Light Neutral. It's a perfect concealer shade for me. The only reason I haven't reached for this recently is because I've found new concealers that I've just fallen in love with. That's really the only reason. There's nothing wrong with this. I love this formula. And also the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. This was a favorite for years, and I have it in the shade beige, I believe. Yes, beige. So what I thought about doing is I thought about using the NYX on one side and the Tarte on the other, just for fun. Let's do that. You just need a little tiny amount, and we're going to put that right under my eye. Use the 788 Phase 3 Golden Triangle brush. We're going to blend this out. So I am going to use my Westman Atelier to do nose contour because that's just something I have fallen in love with. Nose contour is very particular for me. I have to have Biscuit. It is the most flattering contour shade for my nose. It's very subtle. I don't like a strong contour for my nose. This concealer is phenomenal. This brush is blending it just great. I mean, it's great. Blend it out very nicely. So I am going to go ahead and put on my nose contour, and I'll come back and we'll do the other eye. I know at the beginning of the video I talked about maybe using the MAC Prep and Prime under my eyes, but I decided not to do that. The Tarte Shape Tape Radiant Concealer, I'm going to do what I normally do, just like that. And then I'm going to use this on my nose because it's a doe foot. It's easier to apply than the pump. That is one thing that is kind of like about the NYX concealer, but I will say it's a wonderful concealer for your kit if you're a makeup artist, because it's always better to pump out the concealer when you're using it on clients. So that's something to think about. But these two are very similar in formula. They both have a nice little radiance to them, but not too much. They make your under eyes look nice and hydrated while giving coverage. I honestly think they are, like, the NYX could be a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape Radiant, in my opinion. Like, can you tell a difference? Honestly? No. Beautiful. And then I'll blend it down my nose a little bit. And the reason I pulled the Urban Decay out was just in case I needed to use it to brighten. Because I wasn't sure, where I haven't used these in a while, I wasn't sure if the shade was going to work perfectly for me on both. But I think we are good. I could use it to brighten a little bit, but I don't think it's necessary. So we're not going to do it. You guys know my love for the Uoma Beauty. But before that came out, I was using the Hard Candy Chilling Wonder Powder. I'm going to use my little velour puff from Amazon. I've picked up a little bit of the powder. You can see a very small amount. There's before, Now let's add the powder. I don't want to use too much because I do like having a nice radiant under eye. It's very nice. Very pretty and very flattering. So there you can see. I'm not going to add any more powder. I'm just taking whatever's still on the puff and pressing it into the under eyes to make sure they are good and set. Okay. So before, after. It's a beautiful powder, you guys. It really is. To set the rest of my face, I pulled out the Lunar Beauty Lunar-Versal Setting Powder in Translucent Light. It's got the little puff in there that it comes with, but I think I'm just going to use my own. Let's start with my chin. Every time I have used it, I've felt like it accentuated my texture in my pores. For me, it's always been a struggle with like right through here. So let's see if that is still true or if this completely takes all that away. Okay, maybe I might have to eat my words on this one. Maybe I've just been using it wrong or using it with the wrong products. Let me take the puff that it comes with because it's got a lot of product on it, and I'm just going to lightly press it with that. So far, so good. I feel like it's doing a great job. We will see. I'm just pressing that in around my face. I'm not going to go too much around the bronzer and blush because I'm going to use some powder, blush, and bronzer. So I think I'm just going to leave that there for now. I do have a powder contour from Sephora that I purchased, and I just never use it. And I don't know why. I use the BK Beauty 112 brush. It's a very small contour brush, and I feel like that's perfect. This is a very small little compact as well. I have it in the shade light to medium. I'm just going to pick some up on the brush, and we're going to apply it where I would contour. Just kind of stamp that in. It's nice. It's showing up. The reason I don't use it is because the times that I have, I just felt like it really didn't show up on my skin tone. I've always felt like maybe I needed to go a little bit darker. But doing the little pressing, stippling motion with this brush, it's showing up and it's looking really good. It's smooth. I like it. So it's another win. I pulled out another winner. I did say that I would try the bronzer from the Ofra palette. So I'm going to take it on the same brush and just apply a little bit because I don't need much. That contour did a really good job. And I don't want to mess things up. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Okay, nice. For powder blush, I could use the blush in there, but I think I want to use an oldie but goodie. The Sigma Corderosa. This little palette has been beat all to hell, but this was my favorite blush for so long. And I think I'm just going to use the same little brush to apply it. Oh my gosh, yes. And the only reason I don't use this every day is because I fell in love with Patrick Ta and Not Too Much. But before that was a thing, this was by far my favorite blush. And I used it nearly every stinking day. I pulled out a highlighter that I used to use all the time, the AOA Studio Velour highlighter in the shade Boys. This is like it feels like a Super Shock shadow almost, but even a little bit more moussey in texture. But I don't know if I want to use highlighter or not. But let me just show you a little swatch of it. It's so pretty. but it's like a really pretty gold. But once you blend it out, let me blend it and show you. It is very pretty. I just put a little here. Maybe the tip of my nose. It is gorgeous, you guys. This is a beautiful formula, and it's only like $1 on Shop Miss A, so it is worth it. I have the LYS Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder, the shade Translucent Resilience. I don't know why I don't reach for this. It's just one of those things that I have other ones. So this one, for some reason, never gets picked to use. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the product. I like to just use it to kind of carve out my cheekbones a little bit. Any pressed powder will work for this. I just usually grab like the one size because that's something that is almost used up, and it's like I'm just using it to use it up at this point. I picked the LYS Skin Loyalty Blur Mattify Set. I picked 2, so I'm going to use this first. I have the Flower Beauty Jet Set Invisible Powder Spray, and I thought we might use this because I used to use this all the time, but I don't know which one I should use first, and my eye is watering. Let's go with this one first, the LYS. Oh, always spray it first and get it going before you spray towards your face. I almost made a huge mistake. It's a very fine mist. I like it. And this used to be like all the rage, and I just don't know why I stopped using it. But it's a little aerosol can, and it's supposedly a spray powder, but a visible powder. It's just like a hairspray for your face. I'm going to go into my Glossier Brow Flick pen, and we're going to add some hair-like strokes with this. I have it in the shade Brown. So I'm going to be very careful because one thing about this is it is dark. That's one thing I remember about it. It is a little too dark for me. But if I use a very light hand with it, I can make it work. I've just gotten so used to my NYX. Well, this one is drying up, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to use my Maybelline Build-A-Brow in the shade Medium Brown. So I'll use that instead. And my eye is watering. I don't know why. The reason I don't use this one as much is because it's a little too light. So with the Maybelline Build-A-Brow, I always would suggest to go darker than you would think, because this one runs a little bit warm and a little bit too light. Typically, medium brown works for me in most brow products. And this one, I can get it to work. It's just not exactly like a perfect match. So let me talk a little bit about the Brow Flick from Glossier. I used it for a few years and it was just fine. Like I said, I had to be a little bit careful with it because it was a little dark, but it worked really well. And then NYX came out with the Lift and Snatch and it was game over. I bought the Maybelline Build-A-Brow that I'm using now because everybody was saying it was the best out of the brow pens. And I feel like it's nice, but I don't feel like it's any better than the NYX, in my opinion. So, for lips, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with like a nude look or if I wanted to go for a pink look. So I pulled out some different options here. Let me show you my options. If I was going to go for like a really nude look, I pulled the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in Sandstorm, and then the Lunar Beauty Liquid Lip in Perfection. And then I was going to top it with the Haus Labs Lip Glaze in Praline. But if I wanted to go for a pink look, I was going to use the Laura Geller Modern Classic Waterproof Lip Liner in Nice Neutral. with either the MAC Thanks It's MAC in the Lesser Glass formula or Cream Cup in the Cream Sheen formula, topped with the Bobbi Brown Crushed Oil Infused Gloss in the shade New Romantic. So I don't know, I think I'm going to go with nude. I'm going to go with the nude option today instead of the pink. I'm going to use NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner. This used to be a all-time favorite. It's a beautiful, nudie, almost like a it's similar to Anywhere Caffeine, but maybe just a touch more pink. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's closer to Wherever Walnut. It's like a mixture of the two, to be honest with you. This formula is like budge proof. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, that is what it looks like. And then we're going to use the Liquid Lip Imperfection. This is what it looks like. And it's been such a long time since I've used a liquid lip, like a full-on liquid lip. Have to let it dry. It's very pretty. They are nice and dry now. I'm going to use the Haus Labs on top. Praline. The Lip Glaze is a really nice formula. I like it a lot. I don't have another lower lash mascara that I use on my lower lashes. It's just always been the Lancome for me. I don't know. I can't remember the days before I use this on my lower lashes. Let's put it that way. It's just my favorite. Alright, that is a full face using all products that I haven't used in a long time from my collection. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.